Hey everyone, welcome back. Ever catch yourself wondering how AI is getting so incredibly smart so fast?
It's really something, isn't it?
It is. I mean, we're talking systems that can write like Shakespeare, answer any question you throw at them, even create art.
It's mind-blowing.
It really is. And one of the secrets behind this AI revolution is something called knowledge graphs.
Yeah, knowledge graphs are key.
So today, we're going to take a deep dive into this fascinating world, figure out what they are, why they're suddenly so crucial in AI, and the tools that make them tick.
It's like giving AI a serious brain boost. You see, traditional AI, it always struggled to grasp the connections, the context between different pieces of information.
Right, like you could know a lot of facts, but not really understand how they all fit together.
Exactly. Knowledge graphs change all that.
Okay, so what exactly is a knowledge graphs?
Imagine a massive web of interconnected ideas. That's essentially what a knowledge graph is. It's all about organizing information, not just as a collection of facts, but as a network of connected entities and their relationships.
Okay, so instead of just knowing, say, Marie Curie and scientist, a knowledge graph would also understand that Marie Curie was a physicist and chemist who conducted pioneering research on radioactivity.
Precisely. Each piece of information becomes a node in the graph, and the connections between them, those are the relationships. This lets AI see the bigger picture, understand the context in a way that just wasn't possible before.
That's fascinating. So it's like AI goes from seeing just the trees to understanding the entire forest.
Exactly. Now, this interconnectedness, this is what makes knowledge graphs so powerful for AI, particularly for a technique called retrieval augmented generation, or RAG for short.
RAG, I've heard that term thrown around. What's the connection to knowledge graphs?
Well, a RAG is all about making AI systems like those large language models we hear so much about, even smarter by connecting them to external knowledge
And
sources.
those sources would be knowledge graphs.
You got it. Imagine an AI that can access and actually understand a vast knowledge graph packed with information about history, science, literature, you name it.
It'd be like having the Library of Congress at its fingertips.
Exactly. This access to structured, contextualized knowledge, it allows our powered AI to generate much more accurate, insightful, and relevant responses. It's no longer just about recognizing patterns, it's about genuine understanding.
Okay, now I'm really starting to see why knowledge graphs are causing such a stir in AI. But how do we actually build and use these powerful graphs?
That's where those knowledge graph tools come in.
Ah, the tools. Tell me about them.
Think of these tools as the architects and engineers of the knowledge graph world. They give us the power to design, populate, and then actually query these complex networks of information.
So instead of having to build everything from scratch, we have these specialized tools to make the process more efficient.
Exactly. And these tools, they handle a huge range of tasks. Like there are tools for data modeling. Think of it as creating the blueprint for your knowledge graph, defining the types of entities and relationships you'll be working with.
So if we were building a knowledge graph about, let's say, music, we'd define entities like songs, artists, albums, and relationships like performed by or released on.
Exactly. Then there are tools for data integration. And these are essential because knowledge graphs often pull information from a ton of different sources. Databases, spreadsheets, websites, you name it.
It's like fitting puzzle pieces together,
Yeah.
making sure all the data from different places fits perfectly into our knowledge graph.
A perfect analogy. And of course, once you've built your knowledge graph, you need a way to actually interact with it, to extract insights and answers. That's where querying comes in.
So this is where we finally get to ask our knowledge graph some questions.
Yes,
Like, what are the top 10 most streamed songs of all time?
precisely. Querying tools let you ask those complex questions about the relationships within your knowledge graph, going way beyond simple keyword searches.
So we've covered the what and the why of knowledge graphs. Now I'm dying to explore the how. What are some of the key tools in this space, and what makes them stand out?
Well, one tool that's been making a real splash is FalkorDB. It's a graph database, but specifically designed with knowledge graphs and AI applications in mind.
FalkorDB. That name rings a bell. Is it connected to that property graph model I've come across?
You got it. FalkorDB is built on the property graph model, and that allows for a much richer, more nuanced representation of knowledge than traditional graph databases.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Can you give me an example?
Sure. Imagine you're building an AI for, say, medical diagnoses. With FalkorDB's property graph model, you wouldn't just represent diseases and symptoms. You could include patient history, genetic factors, drug interactions, all connected in a way that actually mirrors the complexity of real-world medicine.
So instead of just knowing diabetes and high blood sugar, our AI could understand all those intricate relationships between a patient's genetics, lifestyle, medical history, leading to far more accurate and personalized diagnoses.
Exactly, and that's just one example. This level of detail, this interconnectedness, it's really crucial for building AI that can genuinely understand context, make informed decisions, especially when you pair it with those RAG applications we talked about.
Right, giving AI access to that external knowledge. So it's like FalkorDB is giving our AI a medical degree. But let's talk about actually putting all this information to use. How does FalkorDB handle querying these complex knowledge graphs?
Well, FalkorDB uses a query language called OpenCipher, which is becoming pretty popular in the graph database world.
OpenCipher. Okay, now I have to admit, coding languages aren't exactly my forte.
No worries. Think of OpenCipher like, say, a Google search, but specifically designed for knowledge graphs. Instead of just looking up keywords, you can ask complex questions about the relationships between things.
Okay, that makes sense. So give me an example of an OpenCipher question.
Sure, like find all patients who have a family history of heart disease A&D who are currently taking medication X. Something like that.
So it's like having a detective's toolkit for our knowledge graph, letting us uncover hidden connections and insights. But building these knowledge graphs in the first place, that still sounds like a pretty massive undertaking.
It can be, yeah. But FalkorDB has some really useful tools to streamline the process. One of them is support for what's called ontology management.
Ontology management. That sounds a tad technical.
It sounds way more complex than it actually is.
Hmm.
Imagine you're creating a giant encyclopedia. You'd need some kind of system to define what all the terms mean, how they relate to each other, right? That's essentially what ontology management is, creating a shared vocabulary, a set of rules for your knowledge graph.
So it's like we're establishing the ground rules, making sure everyone's speaking the same language within our knowledge graph.
Precisely. And the cool thing is, FalkorDB can even integrate with some AI-powered tools that can help automate this whole process, saving you tons of time and effort.
Now that's handy. It's like having a team of super efficient librarians helping us categorize and organize this massive collection of information. But let's not forget, we also need to be able to make sense of all this data visually, right? I mean, we are visual creatures after all.
Absolutely. We need to see those connections. That's where FalkorDB Browser comes in. It's a really intuitive tool, lets you explore and interact with your knowledge graph, but visually.
Okay, I like the sound of that. So what can you actually do with FalkorDB Browser?
Well, imagine being able to zoom in and out of your knowledge graph. See all those connections between, say, in our music example, artists, albums, songs, different genres. You could trace the collaborations of your favorite musicians or even discover hidden connections between different genres you might never have expected.
It's like having this dynamic, interactive map of all the relationships within our data. So much more insightful than just staring at rows and columns in a spreadsheet.
Exactly. And for all the developers listening out there, FalkorDB has a particularly cool feature called Code Graph.
Code graph. Okay, what's special about that one?
Well, imagine being able to visualize the entire code base of a large software project. With Code Graph, you can actually see how all the different modules, functions, classes, they're all interconnected.
So instead of getting lost in this massive sea of code, developers can actually see the big picture, how everything fits together.
Exactly. Makes it much easier to understand those complex systems, debug issues, even potentially identify security vulnerabilities.
That's incredible. So it's a real game changer for software development. But can FalkorDB handle really big data? I mean, we're talking about potentially massive knowledge graphs here.
That's actually one of FalkorDB's biggest strengths. It's designed to be incredibly scalable, meaning it can handle those massive data sets and complex queries without breaking a sweat. It can grow alongside your knowledge graph no matter how big it gets.
So it's built for speed. That's impressive. But we've been focusing a lot on the technical side of things.
Right, and I think it's important to connect these incredible capabilities back to real-world impact.
Absolutely. So in our next segment, let's move beyond the how and really delve into the why should we care, exploring the tangible ways knowledge graphs are already impacting our lives, from those personalized recommendations to groundbreaking advancements in fields like healthcare and research.
It's funny, when we talk about knowledge graphs, these powerful tools shaping the future of AI, most people probably don't even realize they're interacting with them every single day.
It's true. Knowledge graphs are already woven into our digital lives, quietly working behind the scenes.
Give me an example. I love a good aha moment.
Think about the last time you did a Google search. You know how Google often shows that box with extra information like a summary of the topic or a list of related people and places?
Oh, yeah?
That's powered by Knowledge Graph.
No way! I always thought that was some Google magic trick. It is a kind of magic. The magic of knowledge graphs. And it's not just Google. Those personalized recommendations you get on Netflix or Amazon, those are often powered by knowledge graphs too, connecting your viewing history, your preferences to this massive network of movies, shows, products.
Wow, I'm starting to see knowledge graphs everywhere now.
Yeah.
But those are the subtle ways they're impacting us. What about the big stuff, the healthcare and research potential we were talking about?
Right. So in healthcare, knowledge graphs are already being used to develop better diagnostic tools, to speed up drug discovery, even personalize those treatment plans based on someone's unique genetic makeup and medical history.
It's like giving doctors this incredible superpower to make better decisions, provide better care.
Exactly. And research. Knowledge graphs are helping scientists make sense of huge amounts of data, uncover connections between different fields of study, really accelerating those breakthroughs.
So knowledge graphs are powerful tools for the present, but what about the future? What gets you really fired up about the potential of all this?
One word: empowerment. I really see a future where knowledge graphs and the tools that power them are accessible to everyone.
Accessible to everyone. So like, what would that look like? Paint me a picture.
Okay, imagine a world where you have your own personal knowledge assistant. It organizes all your information, connects the dots between different parts of your life, helps you make smarter decisions.
It'd be like having a team of researchers and analysts at my beck and call.
Exactly. Need to make a big financial decision. Your knowledge assistant analyzes your finances, researches investment options, even gives personalized recommendations based on your risk tolerance.
Or say you're really into a certain hobby, like, I don't know, astronomy. You could build your own knowledge graph all about it. Connect with other astronomy enthusiasts, discover new resources, maybe even share your own expertise with others.
Exactly. It's about democratizing access to information, empowering individuals to become their own experts, their own learners, their own creators.
It's like giving everyone the keys to the knowledge kingdom. This has been an incredible deep dive. We've explored the what, the why, the how, even the what could be of knowledge graphs.
It's been a pleasure really exploring this fascinating world with you.
And for our listeners who, like me, are now eager to dive even deeper, we'll link to some great resources in the show notes, including more info about FalkorDB, GraphRag SDK, and other cool tools shaping the future of knowledge graphs.
It's a journey worth taking, for sure. The future of knowledge is connected, and it's waiting to be discovered.
This is The Deep Dive, signing off. Until next time, keep those minds curious and keep exploring.